Hello, everyone. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Live. It's our second week of live shows brought to you every day in association with Bet Rivers, Monday to Friday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And I'm delighted to say, not only tonight, this evening in the Premier League, Dominic Solanke will be making his Premier League debut, but I'm saying tonight, this afternoon now live, we have a debut from a new handicapper here on At Because We Win. It is Lewis Jones. He's a Premier League betting expert and a soccer handicapper, and I've watched him the last couple of years, and you'll be very impressed to what he has to say. Lewis, thank you very much, and you've got to give me $20 for that intro. How are you, my friend?
Yes, excellent. Thanks for having me on, Nigel. It's a pleasure to be here. I know that the winners have been flying in, haven't they, over the past week since these new shows went live. But I just want to warn people that my speciality really is value losers. So a lot of value winners knocking around, isn't there? But plenty of value losers to come from me along the way. But yeah, we'll try our best. And just before actually we kick on, Nigel, I just want to just admit that I haven't been able to really concentrate all weekend after listening to your revelation on the Premier League sort of preview show that you guys did, that you've got pants older than the Brighton boss. Is that right? At 30, so that's 31-year-old pants. Your
oh yeah, you know, your mum used to put you out pants Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know, I've still got those Y fronts. I don't know. It might be way before your time, but yes, I have pants. Probably 31.
Wow.
I've got a lot of things. I've got shirts in my wardrobe that are 30 years older than the Premier League manager. Yeah, I have indeed, mate. And listen, we're delighted to have you on the show. I've watched your work in the last year or so, and I think some of the stuff you're going to bring onto the show here is going to be great for our subscribers, watchers, and listeners available on the podcast as well as this show as well. So really delighted.
Well, I could bring you some pants if you like. I could bring some.
Oh, I need some new ones. So it's my birthday coming up soon, so make sure you can send them across there. But anyway, let's have a look at what we're going to discuss about tonight. We're going to discuss about the Monday night Premier League football match. That's going to lead the whole thing tonight. It's the first Monday night of the season, football of the season. We have Leicester, newly promoted Leicester, up against Tottenham. Before we go into that match, let's have a look at the weekend's Premier League matches. I mean, if you look at it, the big news really was 6 matches under 2.5 goals, 3 matches on the overs. Last season, I was ridiculed on this show for my going unders, my allegiance to unders bettors. I didn't do anything this weekend, but an unders bettors got the money on match day 1 so far. We're going to match up with promises goals as well. No match in the first weekend of the season so far cashed over 3.5 goals. Are you surprised by that?
Surprised. I'm of the same sort of persuasion as you when it comes to unders bets, Nige. So I wasn't involved myself on the unders lines, but it wasn't too much of a surprise to see a lot of the games actually flatter to deceive. Really, I sort of my main takeout was looking forward was to treat those games as sort of like an extended pre-season. Really, I thought a lot of the teams were clearly sort of undercooked. I know that it's not really a surprise, really. We consider the short turnaround since the Euros, but just the way that Chelsea really faded in that last 30 minutes against Man City. Man City were just in cruise control, weren't they, for those final stages, keeping the ball. Chelsea just looked absolutely knackered. So my main real angle looking ahead really is to see which teams really performed quite well in the first halves of matches. And then take that into sort of my betting for the next few weeks to maybe grab some value on those teams. And the two that stood out were Ipswich against Liverpool. I thought they were really good in the first half. They stopped Arne Slot's team from getting into any rhythm, really brave, pressed really high under Kieran McKenna. And I think they're going to be able to build on that throughout the season. So Ipswich are a team that I thought performed better than probably what it looks like on the face of it. And also Crystal Palace as well. First half against Brentford, I thought they were excellent. Really didn't give Brentford a sniff, and all that really lacked was the cutting edge in the final third, and what was really a joke of a refereeing decision, wasn't it, to disallow the Eberici Eze free kick. And having backed Eze myself, first goal scorer, I was absolutely reeling from that. So thank you, referee, for the first bad beat of the season. But yeah, so just in that regard, Nigel, I'd say that Ipswich and Palace were the two teams to take out of it looking forward.
Yeah, on a fade for me, I thought Everton were abysmal. Going into the new stadium, Championship football, if they carry on like that. So I think it's the one thing I say to everybody who comes onto these shows in first weeks of the season: keep your betting is very sensible, very, very low stakes. Don't rely on what we saw last season. Don't rely on the new players. It's going to take a little bit of time to gel, but when they gel, the form guide comes in. It's like this in any sport. It's like this in the NFL, which starts in a couple of weeks' time. It's like it's in the Premier League. Every league across Europe is exactly the same. And tonight we have a little bit of a sort of a question mark, really. Tottenham were very, very heavy favourites in the build-up to this match. Everyone was looking at them. They brought in, obviously, Solanke to strengthen their squad, which is always a very, very strong attacking lineup. They've always got goals in them. They're the kings of the over 2.5 goals. They're the kings of both teams to score. But it was a big negative for them in the build-up to the match against Leicester. I'll give you the opening odds now. Let's have a look at the current odds with Bet Rivers. This morning, when we looked at the mine, it was minus 143. The price has actually moved now. There has been some money for Tottenham. They're now minus 150. Leicester are currently plus 370. So it's reverted back to the norm. As the build-up comes to these matches, people want to get with the favourite. Plus 370 is Leicester. And the tie is plus 320. Now, the goal line here is 3.5. If you look at the graphic there, this is obviously a little bit earlier today. But the goal line here, over 3.5 now, is plus 133. Under 3.5 goals is minus 175. I'm going to give you some significant bets. But before I do that, as I said in the intro, not one match so far in the Premier League has cashed over 3.5 goals. If we went on last season's form, this would be a banker for both teams to score. This would be a banker for over 2.5 goals. But can we use that for Tottenham, new look Tottenham, and also you've got a Leicester side who want to impress on their first game back in the Premier League?
That's it, Nigel. This is the thing with Leicester. I think we need to wait and see how they're going to adapt under this new manager before we start getting too serious with any angles in. I think maybe that explains why Spurs have maybe drifted in the betting slightly, just with the unknown factor about Leicester under Steve Cooper. But I think there is an argument to suggest that there could be a little bit of the Sheffield Uniteds about Leicester this season in the fact that they've won promotion, but I think they've actually become a worse team since promotion. Selling Dewsbury Hall to Chelsea. I mean, they haven't got a fit striker by the looks of it for this evening, and I think they're going to have to go back to basics under Cooper to get results in the Premier League. Something which he did do at Nottingham Forest. Actually, he made Forest actually very hard to beat. It's not a natural way for Cooper to go about managing. I don't think to play this sort of resolute defensive style, but I do think he is going to have to play a little bit deeper than he wants and soak up pressure and just try and nip points where they can by playing sort of direct, I think. And they fell over the line last season, Leicester, as well, didn't they, in the Championship? They've lost 7 of their final 14 games. They've been sort of 12 points clear in mid-February. So there might be still a little bit of a hangover from last season with confidence maybe a little bit low. So I do think Tottenham are quite strong favourites here. And but again, is it a bet I want to be getting involved with the unknowns at this type of the start of the season? As you say, keeping your powder dry is probably the best form, the best play there on the outright market, I think.
Well, if you look at the money line, 91% of the handle has been for Tottenham, which is no surprise. 92% of the tickets on Tottenham as well. And the bettors for Bet Rivers aren't agreeing with us on the unders. They're going for the overs. Or they've gone. We've had a decent bet on over 4.5 goals at plus 320, and a nice bet on over 5.5 goals at plus 750. We've got some comments in from Duncan Evans. All of the big teams won this weekend: United, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Villa. There's always one team that lets you down, obviously, and tonight. Tottenham, it could be. Very Spursy thing to do. Jack Wright, obviously, with handicap here. Ollie Skip just confirmed to Leicester from Spurs for 20 million. 3 points tonight by margin, at least 2, I heard. So he's going to go for a very, very convincing win for Tottenham. I'm not so sure. I think this is interesting. The other thing I think you've got to be very careful with a lot of these things, in particular Leicester as well, is obviously you've got your ear to the ground in the Premier League. You're a journalist working on the Premier League. This fear of this points deduction. How do you prepare yourself for a start of the season, thinking yourself, there's a good chance we might have our points deducted?
I think it's like the managers very in public. They're very very keen to stress that it's not going to make too much of a difference to the way that the team go about their business. But I think it has to play a part in the mentality behind the scenes in a negative way. Actually, I think that fear, having seen these points deductions come last season, these are real now. There's always been the threat of them, haven't there? These are a real issue now for clubs and teams like Leicester. I think Nottingham Forest could be one of those teams again that are going to be on that PSR sort of line. That it's going to be very hard to keep the players away from thinking about points deductions, I think. So it could even ramp up the pressure early on for Leicester to need to get points on the boards, and that could affect sort of their performances. But as you say, we need to really need to see how this team play under Cooper before we start making any sort of sweeping statements. I think that's why it's a tricky betting heat from the outright, I think, tonight.
It's also very hard for these teams to bring players in because the uncertainty of knowing if there's a points deduction, especially Manchester City. I mean, you've got players who want to come play in the Champions League and they don't know where they're going to be in a year's time. So it's very not hard, to motivate the players you've got. And then you've got to bring new players in, which is virtually impossible. Look at some goal scores tonight. Obviously, Dominic Solanke is going to make the headlines. He's plus 480 to score the first goal on his debut, plus 148 to score any time. Son, I mean, I can't believe that Son's behind him in the betting, plus 155 for Son, plus 525 to score the first goal. Richarlison plus 540 and plus 165. I know you're the king of the prop bets. This is where you like looking at your angles, you like looking at the props. Obviously, the same game parlays and all the props with Bet Rivers are getting more and more and more popular. Have you delved into the prop market tonight to see if there's any value?
Yes, I've had a bet. Is a first goal scorer market a prop? I suppose it is, isn't it? It's traditionally quite a strong traditional market to play in. But you're right. I do love playing the shots on target and the shots and the bookings and the fouls, etc. But nothing really jumped out there tonight. But I'm keeping it very simple this evening. I love the Dominic Solanke signing for Spurs. I think it's another real piece of smart recruitment. I think from Tottenham they did it last season, bringing in Vicario, Van der Ven, Maddison, Johnson. They all contributed last season at points, and they seem to be able to play Ange Postecoglou's style, get it very quickly, and I think that's testament to the manager in order to be able to get his ideals across to these new players that they're coming. He obviously wants the right sort of intelligence from a player. I think when they're looking to sign, I think Solanke is a very intelligent sort of modern day centre forward that leads the line brilliantly, runs the channels excellently, and he's an excellent presser without possession. He's one of the best. I think he actually might be the best presser out of possession in the Premier League, and that's shown actually through the data. We've got great stat. He made most pressures resulting in a turnover last season of any other player in the Premier League, 176, and that's playing for Bournemouth. So yeah, when he gets involved. When he gets involved with the play with the ball, he's just a very, very clever player in terms of bringing people in. And I think this is where I'm looking. This is why I think he's going to score a lot of goals this season, because his style of football and the way that he goes about his business in the box is very, very suited to the way that Ange Postecoglou likes to play in terms of getting the ball wide, getting to the byline and cutting the ball back. Tottenham made more grounded crosses in the Premier League last season than any other team. So a grounded cross is obviously pretty self-explanatory. It's a cross which is on the floor. And that is what Solanke absolutely relishes in. Of his 17 non-penalty goals last season, nine of them came in that sort of fashion, in the width of the goalposts. So I think he's gonna absolutely relish the way that Tottenham play and getting on the end of those low crosses from wide areas. And I think he's a great bet to score 20 plus goals this season in this Spurs team. So if I'm sort of committing to that theory, then I really think he should be scoring, which against a team who could be sort of propping up the Premier League this season. So yeah, I've got all those. You mentioned the Solanke first goal scorer price there. I've taken a bit of that. But I've also taken the plus 650 for him to score 2 or more goals this evening as well. I think that's a runner. And I think if you're going to be playing the 2 or more goals, I do think you have to have a look at the plus 3,300 for the hat-trick as well. So yeah, I'm hoping that me and Solanke can have something in common and both have sort of fine debuts. So yeah, I'm all over Solanke tonight, Nigel.
Dream debut, that would be. I mean, that's a lovely, not very bold statement. I like people who come on here and give bold statements. I don't like it when you sit on the fence and bet. But I tell you what,
I could give you another one if you like as well.
Of course you can. Just give me one. I'll give you one bet here before we go. Bet Rivers have an over 15.5 goals for the season for Solanke at minus 118. Get over 15.5 or under 15.5 minus 118. So I'm sure you'll be all over that as well. Go on, Lewis.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, it's just I think it's not really a betting prospect or markets available yet, but I think he'll be the starting England centre forward at the next World Cup. I think his game's going to go on to the next level under Ange, and with Kane sort of losing a bit of pace, I think in this modern day football, you need someone who's going to press and run the channels and play out front of his own. I think Solanke's already at the level of Watkins and Tony, so I can see him kicking on over the next 2 years, and I think he'll be the starting centre forward at the World Cup in 2 years' time. for England.
Oh, big season for Solanke. Head across the Bet Rivers website, all the different markets. Solanke doing well. Said over 15.5 goals to score at any time, 2 goals. Check out the props on the Bet Rivers app. Will White, who works on the show as well, another professional gambler. Most impressive team of the weekend for him were Brighton. -110, top 10 pre-season. He loves that. Jack Wright always likes Porro assist, +330 with Bet Rivers. He's going to play tonight. That's something that's cashed last season as well. And Duncan Evans again. Is Solanke going to be the penalty taker this year, Lewis? Is that the question? Or it could be 4 or 5 goals.
If he is the penalty taker, then that over is with 16.5 goals. You said, I think that's a huge run. There's still a little bit of debate about that with Son. I think Son was on penalties last season. But if he's going to lead the line for Spurs, I'd advise him. He's got to be grabbing that ball when the penalties have been given. He's got to be the main man, isn't he? So I would like to see him taking penalties, and yeah, I think he probably will.
Yep, over 2.5 goals, probably the bet. Over 3.5 goals, Tottenham to win. Solanke hat-trick, lots of props going on. The money is all for Tottenham now. There was a negative for it, but the money's coming back. The props, the bets, the significant bets with Bet Rivers on the trading room, over 4.5 goals, over 5.5 goals. And also a decent wager on another prop, Kulichevsky, under 2.5 shots, -2.78. Oh, very brave better to be able to bet that. That's not only the football. That's not the only football. That is the only football on the Monday night, but there's also some action across in Spain and in Italy. And in Italy, we're going to start with 2 matches. We have Lecce against Atalanta. And in the Italian league at the weekend, 8 matches so far, 6 have ended in draws. Only one favourite of 1. So favourite bettors have got their fingers well and truly burnt here. Lecce have been bet very heavily today. They were +350 and now +245. There's been some decent money for Lecce to win this match with Bet Rivers, down to +245. The tie is 230. Atalanta is +117. The over and under is 2.5 and under 1.5. Juventus -240. A negative for them today. Como obviously 650, newly promoted, very similar to the the Leicester match today. +360 the tie. Ties have been profitable all weekend, and 2.5 goals is the line on there. The boys on Betting Weekly Extra Time, which you'll still be able to get on podcast or on YouTube, have those matches covered. Any thoughts on these Italian matches at all, Lewis, or anything that's caught your eye on these?
It's just, I thought the drift on Juventus was quite interesting, actually, considering they changed their manager, haven't they? They brought in Thiago Motta, who's going to bring in a different style, I think, to Allegri. So maybe punters are expecting this sort of shift in philosophy to take its time, maybe to work. And with it looks a good fixture actually for the newly promoted Como to come into and sort of have a free hit out. Really, the momentum should still be with them after their promotion last season. So they've obviously managed by Cesc Fabregas, aren't they? And made some interesting signings actually. I mean, Belotti's gone there, which surprised me. I thought he was still capable of scoring goals at that level. And Rafael Varane as well, Manchester United. He was excellent actually, remembering how he played in the FA Cup final against Man City. So it could be, obviously they've had to spend a few quid to get them in terms of wages, I'd assume. But with that sort of winning mentality, probably with the team still probably quite buoyant since their promotion, I can see why maybe the drift has come on Juventus. So it's I don't really tend to get involved too much with the European stuff. My own personal betting is based mainly on the Premier League and the Championship. But it'd be interesting to see if Como can get a result tonight. I can definitely see why Juventus are drifting.
Yeah, they're drifting even more. Como now $6 on the money line, plus for 650. More money coming for Cesc Fabregas side. Juventus are now -240. The ties +360. The ties drifted. Juventus are coming a little bit, and Como have obviously gone out a little bit. So the other market move on that match is for the over 2.5 goals, which is -108. It's now -112. Some big bets to report on the Lecce game. As I said, money for Lecce on the money line. They were +350. They're now +245. And for Juventus, 98% of the money is for them on the money line. Doesn't really reflect the market, but Kostic under half a goal, half shots on target at 106 is a subject of some money on a prop. There's also some matches over in Spain, and I know Steve Wiss has a very strong opinion on one of those matches. He's very keen on goals in the Villarreal-Atletico Madrid match. They are the odds there on screen. If you want to look at their prices there, Valladolid play Espanyol +138 for the home side there. Villarreal +265. Atletico -104. They're in transition at the moment. They've got to get some new players in. Much more offensive now this season, or the last season as well, for Atletico Madrid. And over 2.5 goals is now -150, but Steve likes the over 2.75 goal line, which you'll be able to get on the Bet Rivers website. I'll give you some bets on that if I can find my sheet. Let me just find my sheet for you. What do we have here? We have a decent bet on the money line, draw no bet for Atletico Madrid. Azpilicueta under half a shot. These under half shots, these guys are taking no risk at all at minus 185. And on the Valladolid match, quite quiet on the betting heat, but 84% of the money on the money line for the home team, 75% of tickets, and over and under 59% of tickets on the over. We do have some more comments. Philly guy likes a little bit of juice, but got to go with Spurs. Both teams to score and over 2.5 at minus 130. That was the go-to bet all of last season for Spurs, wasn't it? On the road as well. And he's going for Solenke to score at plus 150 for Villarreal. But for Steve, he's very, very keen on over 2.75 goals, a very, very strong lead, currently minus 122 with Bet Rivers. And James Eastham on an official pick on Betting Weekly Extra Time has gone for Como plus 1.5. But that line was 124 when he gave it on the show. It's now minus 154. You won't go wrong following those two on European football. We're going to change sport a little bit across this big day of tennis action. We have two big tournaments in the ATP Tour 1000 and the WTA 1000 in Cincinnati. And here are the odds. We have the number one seed Yannick Sinner up against France's Tiafoe, which is going to be a very interesting match, which starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time. One thing I will tell you is that Yannick Sinner is not fit. He's got a hip problem. He's not playing well. We just come through an epic match against Zverev. But the conditions in Cincinnati today, no wind. Wind has played havoc in this tournament. No wind. The wind is still. The tournament. The conditions look perfect. Sinner isn't at 100%. I'd say he's at 80%, but he should be enough. If he was at 100%, he'd be minus $7. So it's reflected in that price there. Sinner's minus 335. Tiafoe is plus 255. Big Foe loves the big occasion. There'll be no big occasion in this. The spread is 3.5 minus 122 for Sinner. Minus 104 for Tiafoe, and the total here is 22.5. They've met 4 times before, and the head-to-head is 3-1 to Sinner. He did win the last match in Vienna, but they've played twice in Vienna, and the previous to that was in Antwerp. So it was 1 win for in Vienna for Tiafoe in 2021, and 1 win for Sinner back in 2023. The US Open starts next week, and we've got you covered on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Not really much of a betting move on this match, but I do give Tiafoe a little bit of a chance. I think he's going to keep it competitive, especially in the first set. So I'd look for the first set over 10.5, something like that with Bet Rivers. But 95% of the money on the money line is for Yannick Sinner. He is the number one seed, but a word of caution, I wouldn't be betting him because he's not fit at all. There's also a women's final in Cincinnati. Obviously, it's a day later. Obviously, this week there's been a bit of bad weather around, and it's scheduled a bit delayed. It's the Cincinnati final. Sabalenka, who beat Iga Swiatek, she's up against Jess Pegula, the American number 2 behind Coco Gauff. Pegula is having a bit of a resurgence heading into the US Open. She doesn't want to peak too early. That would be a problem for me. Heavy favourite Sabalenka, minus 265. She was brilliant yesterday against Swiatek. The conditions should suit. It's fast. Just Pegula is plus 205. The spread again, 3.5. Total 21.5. These two have met 6 times previously. 4-2 is the head-to-head record for Sabalenka. But the interesting thing is Pegula won their last meeting, which was at the Masters Cup in 2023, 6-4, 6-3. Again, no surprise. Money for the favourite here. Very, very heavy support for Sabalenka. And a big bet on Sabalenka, minus 1.5 sets to win this match at minus 625. These are heavy odds-on bets, and I'd love to be in the trading room and Bet Rivers taking these bets here. But Tiafoe has had a bit of a luck to get here, but I do think he may keep it competitive in set number 1. The crowd are going to be behind him, and I think he may, but I think Sinner will come through eventually. Moving on to one final tournament in Winston-Salem. It's an interesting ATP Tour 250 event today. And this is an interesting one, Lewis. I know you're not really a tennis fan, and I'm just probably going to rabbit on a little bit here and just without much of a comment from you. But the week before a major, you get some shock wins. Not many people want to peak a week before the major. This tournament hasn't got the big names of the tennis. So, and the underdogs, as Sean Calvert said, going into the quarterfinals, semi-finals, they've got a great record of winning it. But there's a real interesting bet here that took my fancy, and I think it's in this match between Mackenzie McDonald against Corentin Moutet. Goffin there and Munar is a game I picked out too. Goffin, a veteran, against Munar. I give Munar a chance here as a dog. But this one here, Mackenzie McDonald, Corentin Moutet, is probably the most interesting story of the day because Mackenzie McDonald at 1 o'clock Eastern time today has to play in the final of the doubles in Cincinnati. So he's got to play in the final of the doubles in Cincinnati. That will probably be about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half, maybe, possibly. So he's then at 2:30, he's then got to get changed, showered, and then he's got to get on an aeroplane, drive to the airport, get on an aeroplane. I can't imagine him having a private jet. I mean, he's not in the Sean Calvert elite world of this kind of thing. I could again got a private jet and head across to Winston-Salem, land there, and play his singles match tonight at 8:30 this evening. I mean, that is just, to me, I find that staggering that he's got to do that in one day. He was -120 on that graphic. He's been bet to -134. I think if if the line is around -134, I can't see him. I think he's got to start a lot shorter than -134. So Mute here, it does trail on the head-to-head, but McDonald to play in a doubles match, fly across, and then playing a singles match does seem, and it's a long flight. It's an hour and 45 minutes. So I give Mackenzie McDonald, he's a fade for me today. Mute, if you want to get your money, get him -1.5, and then just maybe have a little bit of money on him as well on the handicap as well, or fade him on the final today.
That sounds like a great angle, Nigel. I'm just thinking if that was me, I played five-a-side football the other week, just 30 minutes, and I couldn't move for 2 days. So I know these are professional athletes, but if I was having to play another five-a-side football match that day, you'd be laying me all day. So I could definitely see the angle there.
He's got to get in the duty-free shop. He's got to then have a few Stellas on the flight. He's then got to land. He's then got to sit in traffic, which is going to be hard traffic. I mean, I think there's got to be an angle for that match there, and I think Mute at -120. Let's give you some other significant moves with Bet Rivers while I've got you here. What do we got? We've got US Open coming up soon. Carlos Alcaraz is seeing 66% of the tickets for Alcaraz. Djokovic 14.5% of the tickets, and Sinner only 8.4% of the tickets, which is funny when you consider he's +260. Big bet on Alcaraz to win the tournament at +165, and also a nice bet on Djokovic to win the tournament at +240. There is some women's events, tournament tennis today in Monterey, and also over in Cleveland, and there's been a decent bet for Buxa to beat Trevisan, $2,000 on there on the money line at -117, one of the first moves this morning in what is a pick 'em match. And also $850 on over 25.5 games in a women's match. Schmedlova up against Clara Towson. And Schmedlova is the pick to win the tournament from Roy Giovanni, our WTA handicapper. So, Lewis, it's your first debut, first time on the show. Thank you very much. Obviously, it's the Premier League tonight. Give us your best bets and where we can find you on Twitter.
So best bets tonight. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it very, very simple. I think playing it simple this time of the season is probably going to put you on the right path. And it's Dominic Solanke just to score the first goal. I think against a team that should be propping up the division, and the fact I've gone very big on him being a very good signing for Tottenham. I do think he's overpriced to open the scoring. And you can find me on Twitter at Lewis Jones Knows if anyone fancies to follow to see what I'm up to.
Yep. Make sure you follow. Lewis will be on again throughout the shows. I think it's a couple of weeks' time, or you're on again, and then you're also back again in September. The sporting action continues really fast. Brilliant amount of reviews last week. Keep subscribing to the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Give us ring the bell there. We'll be notified of every time anything drops. Keep your comments coming. Follow us on socials at Because We Win. And good luck with the football tonight, but keep it easy. It's a hard time. Lewis, thanks again for your time. Hopefully you can have as good a debut this evening as Dominic Solanke. And luckily, we paid a little bit more than £55 million that Angelos Postecoglou paid for Solanke from Bournemouth. Enjoy your night. Good luck with the football. Gamble responsibly and take care.